Hello, I'm Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest YouTube video. Today I'm really excited to be a part of the Junk Journal January collaboration. This is being hosted by Meg Journals in collaboration with Get Messy Art. I will leave a link down below for how you can get involved, just in case you haven't heard about this already. Throughout the month, there's going to be a different creator on YouTube releasing a video which will relate to one of the tags each day of the month. And there's also going to be a live journaling session in the middle of the month as well. So there's lots to look forward to. I was asked to pick which prompt I would like, and I went for hand-lettered because I absolutely love hand lettering. So I'm going to be guiding you through a fun way to be able to add some lettering into your junk journal today. There'll also be a playlist for all of the other creators that have taken part so far, and they'll be adding to that throughout the course of the month. So the aim is to just give you lots of different ideas from different creators on ways that you can start using your junk journal. Now this one I made only very recently, and because I'm filming this actually in December, I don't have lots in here yet. But what I'm going to recommend is in your junk journal to find somewhere where you've got two pages that are kind of equal rather than having a little one here, because we're going to be adding some lettering on the top on a separate piece of paper, and that will all become clear hopefully a bit later on. Now the first thing I want to do is decorate these pages, so I'm going to be adding some collage, but quite a lot of it's going to be covered up, so I'd say don't use your most precious items for this. I've got some packs here of different ephemera. I might also do a little bit of stamping, and so my main aim really is just to get these covered for now, and then we'll come back and work on the hand lettering in a bit. So I'm going to be using Pritt Stick to glue things down and just work through this little pile. The things that are in the corners are those that are most likely to be showing, so perhaps add the elements that you like the most here. And hopefully by the time you finish at that stage, you'll have something looking a little bit like this, so that you've got those pages covered. So we've got a lovely base there. And the next thing we're going to want to do for our lettering is use some reasonably good quality printer paper. I use some that's for a colour laser printer, so it's going to handle brush pens nicely but also be really easy to fold. And we're going to want a square piece of this, and the piece of paper is going to be going into our journal like this. And it's absolutely fine if on the diagonals it goes over the top and the bottom of your journal page, but you don't want those corners really coming out the side. So as it happens, this Junk Journal January prompt sheet is just about perfect, but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So yeah, just think about those diagonal dimensions, just making sure that it doesn't quite go over the edge of those pages. So actually if I use this as a template and measure that, that's just over 18 centimetres, so I'm going to go for a 17 centimetre square. So I've got my square there, and what I would recommend before you do too much is just check you're happy with the sizing of it. So I said absolutely fine if it goes over the top and bottom, but you don't want it going over the sides there. So I'm really happy with that. And now the next thing we're going to be doing is adding some brush lettering to this. And I'm going to be using a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen with a firm nib, which is one of my absolute favourites for beginners, and it's actually the brush pen I use the most anyway. If you're new to using brush pens, one of the things to remember is that when your pen is moving down the page, you apply pressure to get the thick strokes, and when you're going up the page, you ease the pressure off for your thin strokes. And it's always worth doing a little bit of practicing. And when you're doing brush lettering, it's absolutely fine and encouraged to take your pen off the page. So if you're writing something like hello, you leave your little tail and then you can move your hand along. I love adding brush lettering to my journals. I find that it gives me just adds something really personal to my page. If you're wanting to try out more brush lettering, I do have a free worksheet that's available over on my blog, so I'll leave that linked down below just in case you want to have a practice. Now the aim with this sheet is to cover it all with writing, and I'm going to be working around my page and bringing it inwards so that it doesn't actually matter what direction I glue it onto my page. And you could use this for things like setting your intentions for the year, your intentions for your junk journal, or just some thoughts on how things are at the moment. And to try and give myself, I suppose, a little bit of a helping hand, I'm going to draw some very faint guidelines, and I think I'm going to do them at about 2 centimetres, and I'll probably just do that for the outside rather than measure them all the way in, but just so that I've got a starting point really. So I'll be making sure that my lettering for that first circuit kind of stays inside these lines around the board, and then work my way slowly inwards until this page is completely covered in lettering. So I'm going to just draw these in and then get started. By the time you've finished, you should have something which looks a little bit like this. I've tried to use up as much of the space as I can, so I've run some words into the next lines, and it doesn't matter to me that it doesn't make sense to anybody else. For me, I've set my intentions on there about how I'd like to live my life a little more through 2023. And I have just quickly erased that line I used around the outside. And you could decide now to distress on top of all of this if you want. I don't want to because I want this to stand out, but I am going to use a little bit of this distress ink in Vintage Photo around the outside, just so it helps tie in a little bit to the vintage background, but I've still got that bold whiteness that the lettering stands out on. You'll notice with nearly all of my junk journal pages, I like to add lots of writing. I use my journals as a place to express myself, get all of my thoughts out, and document some of the kind of really special moments that I don't want to forget. Okay, now that's done, we're going to do some folding with this paper. So I've already got one fold in mind from when I created my square. I'm going to use a bone folding tool to just get that nice and crisp. We're also then going to fold it in the other direction, corner to corner. And along with that, we also want to fold it in half in the other two directions as well, so that we're going from edge to edge. So the back of your square now should look a little bit like this, with lines crossing in each of the directions. Now the next thing to decide is which direction you want to be gluing this into your journal. I'm quite happy with it in that direction. And along this centre point here, you're going to want to fold it back on itself, because that's going to help you out a little bit in a moment. And now the next thing we're going to do is add some glue. So if you fold it back on itself, you'll have a square here, so these two triangles, and these are the only places for now that you want to add glue to. So again, I'm using my Pritt stick for this. Okay, and you now want to tuck this into your journal so it's quite close to the centre spine, but not quite on it. And try and get it roughly even with the 2 points that are currently popping out the top and bottom of your journal. Okay, I'm now going to press that down quite firmly. And we're now going to add glue to this square here as well. And we now want to bring this over onto this side of our journal. And again, just make sure it's nice and flattened down. And then the final thing we're going to do is, as we close this, we want to make sure that these two are coming inside, which is why I encouraged you to fold it back on itself a minute ago. So just pop your fingers under there and give it a gentle wiggle, so that as you close your journal pages, that's going to fold up really nicely inside. So there you go, that's it. That's my take on the hand-lettered prompt for Junk Journal January. I really hope you've enjoyed this and it's given you some ideas for your own junk journal. And don't forget to check out everybody else that's taken part, and I'll leave that link down to Meg Journals as well, so that you can download the prompts if you haven't already. Well, thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful January.